Welcome to another episode with your chapter crush sweetheart. This is Everblue Presents More Than Enough, a chapter crush sweetheart series. Bryony, Chapter 19, Where the Pieces Fall. Just do it. Why are you being so dramatic? There's no lake, no kissing scenes, nothing to worry about this time. Pausing on the steps of the camper, I look out at the film set. After the last of the indoor scenes in the cottage were filmed this morning, the cameras were set up for the last scene to be filmed this afternoon. Well, it's technically not the last scene of the series, since that was filmed when we first arrived in May. That scene had involved a sweeping panoramic shot of Rafe and Annika running towards each other across the field. I shudder, remembering how many times I'd gagged watching Amelia end up in Nick's arms, where she practically tried to maul him. That was despite it not being a kissing scene. At least there's none of that today. This scene ends in a lover's quarrel. I've never seen Nick shout at anyone, no less a woman in real life, so it's always fascinating to watch his process when he's acting. Yeah, I definitely don't want to miss this. Thankfully, I don't have to go far. As soon as I step out of the camper, Alfie sees me and comes over to escort me to Nick's seat. Before I know it, I'm bundled in blankets with a thermos full of hot tea as the AD hands me a pair of headphones. Andrew strolls over on the way to his director's chair and stops to look at me curiously. "You gave us quite the scare, Bryony." I've barely nodded when his slender face lights up in a grin. "I'm glad to see you're all right, darling. I've never seen anyone turn as pale as Nick did before you dove off that pier yesterday. You quite all right? Can we get you anything?" Wide-eyed, I shake my head, thanking him before he heads over to his seat. After talking to Evie and Wynn on the phone last night, I pulled up footage from online news articles about the event. The video showed everything from Nick diving into the water to performing CPR on me and finally storming past the cameras, stone-faced as he carried me through the crowd. It all looked like something out of a movie. Some were claiming it was part of a publicity stunt, while others hailed him a hero, and still others speculated whether or not we were in a relationship. The general consensus on the last piece of gossip was that I was his secret wife and we were expecting our first child. I laughed at that one, but when I looked back at those videos, as I did many, many times last night, I saw what everyone else saw. From the fear in his eyes when he swam back to the dock and passed me to Alfie, to the anguish on his face when he started chest compressions, and the tender way he held me as he carried me through the crowd. Heck, even I swooned watching it the first time. Nick looked like a man in love. Could it be? Could he really be just as much in love with me as I am with him? "Come on, Bryony. You can't leave me like this. Come on, love," whispers to me from the deep recesses of my mind. Was that Nick? Did he really say that? Looking around, everyone is busy getting ready for this closing scene. Martin waves at me as he passes by. He'd been so nice as he examined me a few times throughout the day. At first, Nick seemed really tense when I climbed into the van this morning. Yet, when he saw how Martin took care to make sure I was okay, I think he was relieved I hadn't stayed at the chalet alone. Andrew says something to the AD, and the call to places is made. They do a couple of takes before making some adjustments to a shot of the inside of the cottage. As Nick's handsome face fills the screen with the last bit of rushing around as people clear out, Andrew again calls, "Action!" Nick looks up and suddenly it's Rafe on the screen, his face a mask of determination as Annika quietly insists, "Someone else can do it." Rafe shakes his head and looks up at her, his eyes anguished. "It's my duty. I'm honor bound to see this through." Annika's face twists in fury as she yells, "And what about how you and I are bound?" Rafe quietly works his jaw before he stands and begins packing his few belongings into a satchel. The silence becomes a breathing thing, 1,000 words spilling unspoken into its void. Why? Annika finally demands, crossing the small room to shove him. Why? She screams, tears slowly falling. Rafe turns to look at her, his eyes tortured when he shouts, They died on this very mountain, Annie! His voice becomes hoarse, his eyes welling with tears as he gestures helplessly outside. I can't go on living here like a coward. I won't, he grits out in a stronger voice. They were all good men. They had lives. They had families. Rafe stares off in the distance as he works to get his emotions under control. They deserve more. They deserve better than what they got. His voice cracks on the last word, and he falls silent as he closes up his satchel. Annika, beginning to look desperate, rushes over to cling to him as he takes his bag and walks to the door. You said you were done with war. You were done with racking up debts you can't pay back to God. Ray freezes, his hand on the door pull wavering in indecision. Stay, she pleads, pulling on his arm, tears in her eyes. We'll figure it out. Rafe looks back at her, quiet devastation apparent on his face before he opens the door and steps outside. He turns back, slowly raising his eyes to meet hers. I'll never be the man you need me to be if I do. Annika then raises her hand with lightning speed and slaps him across the face. That was not scripted, and I immediately jump up as I hear the crack through the headphones and see Nick's head turn with the force of the blow. As I yank off the headphones, ready to snatch Amelia up, Alfie rests a hand on my shoulder. I look over at Andrew, who has a hand up so that no one interferes and lets the scene play out. I plan to set some people on fire later, but for now, I'm going to let Nick do his job. I slam the headphones back on my head as I sit down and try to focus on the scene in front of me. The anguish of loss plays out across Rafe's face, yet his resolve is apparent in his eyes, even as he stretches a gentle hand towards Annika's face. It hovers near her cheek a few seconds without touching her before it drops, and he backs away with a firm set of his jaw. Turning without a word, he silently walks away, his steps more sure as he leaves her weeping in the doorway. I look up in amazement to watch Nick walk towards the setting sun. In the script, Rafe pulls Annika close and softly kisses her on the forehead before he walks away. The revision is poignant, and as the camera zooms in to capture Rafe's look of determination as he goes off to his uncertain future, the audience is left with an uneasy apprehension. When the last episode airs, the audience will complete the journey with Rafe as he goes on trial for desertion when he refuses to go back to war. He makes an impassioned plea for conscientious objection, but still ends up going to prison for 3 years. A full year after the war has ended, he's released from prison with an honorable discharge. The last scene, where he finally makes it back to Annika, is a fitting ending for the boy who loved to fly, as he becomes a man who learns to stand his ground. The cast is elated when Andrew yells, Caught! So many hoots and hollers go up, in fact, that it's a wonder the sheep in the field nearby don't join in. Andrew calls for some more shots of Nick walking away through the field, but everyone knows it's solid gold. And when the final "Cut, that's a wrap" is called, the applause is heartfelt. The amount and quality of work that this cast put in has been amazing to see, and I get a bit teary-eyed along with the rest of the crew. Cast and crew are walking around congratulating each other, and I can't believe this part of the production is over. I can't believe this is my last time seeing the magic behind the scenes. As I look around for Nick, I spot him just as Amelia launches herself at him. He catches her and sets her down as she excitedly talks, waving her arms around. Unbelievable. Here I am, ready to skin that woman alive, and he's hugging her? Her handprint is still on his face. When he nods at her, offering a little smile, I take my blankets and empty a thermos back to the van. Once I'm inside, I set the thermos in the sink, put a baggie of metal cubes in a little ice box, and head into the bedroom to lay down. About 20 minutes later, Nick's lemon lavender scent drifts in on the breeze when he opens the door, and I immediately close my eyes. I can't explain the emotions running through me at the moment, but I know that I'm not ready to see his face. Yet when the bed sinks as he settles in behind me, I bolt upright. His smirking face isn't the least bit amusing. "What are you doing back here?" I demand. Nick smiles as he leans against the headboard. "I was going to have a bit of a lie down myself. Alfie is going to drop off the staff gifts, and I'm going back to the chalet to have dinner with you." My brows rise involuntarily. "You're going to miss the wrap party? Why?" Nick shrugs as he closes his eyes. "Maybe I'm old and I can't party like I used to." Leaning close, I can see the dull imprint is still visible, although it has lost some of its redness. I raise a hand to touch it, and that's when I notice Nick is staring at me, his blue eyes lit with some emotion I can't name. "Does it still hurt?" I ask. Nick shakes his head dismissively, a ghost of a smile on his lips. "Only when I think about it." I start to smile in return before I remember I'm mad at him and cross my arms. I almost came out the box to snatch Amelia up. Nick's smile blossoms as he dips his head. "Why didn't you?" I narrow my eyes on him. "Alfie saved her." Then, as you continued acting, I realized there was something you all had cooked up beforehand. "I'm still angry with you for not telling me in advance." Nick laughs as he pulls me into a hug. "I'm sorry, love. And you swore us to secrecy. You know I would have told you otherwise." I grimace, although I relax in his arms. "I thought we agreed not to keep secrets after you, Tom, and Toby pulled that last prank on set." I can feel his chuckle rumble through his chest, and I close my eyes to bask in the sound. "I thought that promise only referred to pranks, but you're right. I'll not do anything that will scare you again without your prior knowledge." I pull away to twist around and scowl at him. "Nor will you allow someone to put any marks on your body if it's not done with makeup, especially not your face." Nick smothers a grin as he nods, his blue eyes glinting with amusement. "You're right. It was a terrible decision. To be fair, I didn't realize Miss Raglan would slap me quite as hard as she did." I glare at him, but he just bursts into laughter and pulls me in for another hug. "You're right, my life. It's my fault, and I shouldn't have allowed it." I hum in indignation, but I settle back against him. This is absolutely no way for a courting man to behave. Nick's laughter is nearly immediate. "Honestly, love, I think you really are older than me. Who says courting anymore?" I elbow him in the side. "I do. Unless—" I sit back to peer at him scandalized. Arms crossed over my chest. "Yesterday, when you spoke of taking things farther, did you only mean you wanted to date me? Are you only trying to woo me for selfish gains, Nick?" He laughs again as he cups his injured cheek. "Stop making me laugh. It hurts." I smile devilishly. "That's what happens when you mess with me." "Do you get workers' comp for that?" Nick chuckles. "No, but I'll ask for injury pay. The force was excessive." I move to get off the bed as I say, "Don't forget to ask for stunt pay. You should also get paid for emotional pain and suffering because you had to get a lecture from me. And you need pay to cover the therapy from the emotional wounds you suffered." "All right." He throws his hands up in surrender as he laughs. "I'm sorry." I won't make this mistake again. I promise. Where are you going? I've stood up and I turn around to answer. I have something for you in the kitchen. I'll be right back. Filling a cup with water, I set it on the counter as I reach into the icebox for the metal cubes, which are now ice cold. I wrap a kitchen towel around them and pick up my cup of water before turning towards the bedroom. Knock, knock, knock. A look out of the window reveals it's Amelia. She's changed out of her costume and dressed in a black Louis Vuitton V-neck jumpsuit. A gold belt and heels match the gold flashing at her ears and wrists. She's even styled her long, pale blonde hair in a tangle of curls around her face. I slide open the door of the van, pleased to see her flinch when she sees me. Oh, Bryony! I didn't realize. I saw when Nicholas rescued you yesterday. Are you all right, darling? Amelia asks, her nose wrinkling in disgust. I smile heartily. I've never been better. Thank you so much for visiting just to ask. Now, if you'll excuse, Amelia holds up a slim hand as she haughtily interrupts me. Actually, I'm here to see Nicholas. I heard he won't be in attendance at the wrap party, so I dropped by to personally thank him for a lovely shoot. Now, do you mind stepping out so that I can check on him? I'm sure his cheek needs tending. I laugh quietly. This girl is really trying it. Well, she asked for it. You know what? He's fine. We're actually resting right now, but I do have something to return to you. Turning slightly, I take my cup off the counter and watch as the water arcs through the air before landing on her in a satisfying way. Amelia screams and sputters as she tries to shake the water off. What's wrong with you? She shrieks, her curls now plastered to her face. Whoops, I frown. Oh dear, it's a bit slippery there. You might want to watch your step. With that, I swing the door closed and startle when I see Nick lazily leaning against the wall with a broad grin on his face. Finally standing up for yourself, I see. Or was that for me? I snort. If I was standing up for you, she would be leaving here with 2 black eyes, not drenched in something that will dry in an hour without any residue. His mouth twists in a wry smile. I'm sure her face and hair will dry, but I'm not sure how her designer suit will fare. I smile serenely. Personal problems aren't my problems. Nick laughs, but his smile drops as he pulls me into a hug. I think you need to rest, love. We have knock, knock, knock. Hearing the insistent knocks, he leans past me to roll the door open once again, revealing a red-faced Amelia on the other side. I smirk as she points an accusatory finger at me. Nicholas, I think you should do something about your staff. Do you know she threw water all over me? My suit is ruined. I expect to be fully compensated for this. Nick had leaned against the countertop when he swung the door open, but now he pulls me into his arms as Amelia begins sputtering. Oh, Miss Raglan, yes. Bryony can get rather cross with people who take certain liberties. I'm sure you're glad it was only water. Amelia turns a deeper shade of red when I rest my head against Nick's chest as he begins rubbing my back. Nick doesn't really like to get involved in my disputes, Amelia. But if you wish to continue this conversation with me outside, I'm happy to oblige. Amelia's eyes widen in disbelief as she looks back and forth between us, open mouthed. Nick puts his hand on the door handle. Well, if that's all, Amelia, please excuse us. You've caught us quite in the middle of wooing one another, he concludes, shooting me a look that melts me in a puddle of giggles. Amelia's lips form the word woo as she looks at the both of us like we're crazy. Wait a minute. The rumors are true then? You two are... I raise a brow as Nick shakes his head. No, the rumors aren't true. We aren't an item. I'm Bryony's future husband, as long as she'll still have me. He takes in my startled face, adding, That is what courting means, my love. And that's what's happening here, after all. I grin, a wave of warmth traveling through me as something molten sinks into my belly. I love this man so much. Ah! Amelia exclaims, much louder than the situation calls for. I hadn't realized. I apologize for my intrusion. Brian, if you'd like to exchange information to settle the matter of the wardrobe that needs to be compensated, I'll be glad to. How thoughtful of you, Miss Raglan, Nick interrupts dryly. Bryony didn't want to bring it up, feeling that it would be uncouth to request compensation for something that was obviously not intended. But since you've brought it up, we're much obliged. We'll get you the receipts for the new suit and have Alfie send it to you. Amelia's head snaps back in surprise as she frowns. You'll send me the receipts. Nick nods as he lazily traces a circle on my back. Of course, Miss Raglan. Don't worry, it was only £4,000 to replace Bryony's motorbike kit after you spilled your soft drink all over her that day. Amelia's eyes round as she exclaims, £4,000? I smirk as Nick nods. It's inclusive of tax, of course. Amelia looks around, perhaps searching for a way out of this conversation when she erupts in high-pitched laughter. Surely between friends we wouldn't expect. No, of course not, Nick smoothly interjects. Naturally, I didn't include the cost of express shipping since our desire to replace it as quickly as possible wasn't out of necessity, but our own desire to have done with it as quickly as possible. Amelia's high-pitched laughter rings out again and Nick raises a brow. If there's nothing else, Miss Raglan, we have wooing to get back to. Yes, and you'll probably want to get changed before the wrap party starts, I add. Amelia backs away from the van with a jerky nod of her head. Yes, of course. Well, thank you for... I'll expect your receipts. Have a good evening, Nick calls, leaning over to roll the camper door shut. In one fluid moment, he then picks me up and deposits me on the bed. Now, what did you have for me, love? He asks, looking down at me curiously. My brows immediately shoot up. What? I ask, the word coming out louder than I anticipated. Nick lowers his brows. When you left the room, you said you had something for me. What was it? A wave of relief races through me so powerfully that I'm sure I would have collapsed if I weren't already sitting down. Oh! Here, I say, holding up the towel wrapped around the baggie of metal cubes. For your face. Nick takes them from me with a smile as he sits on the edge of the bed. Thank you, my love. What would I do without you? I look at him askance as he presses the towel to his cheek. I assume you would live out your days dodging Amelia while reading poetry in your garden and eating food that tastes like cardboard. Nick laughs, his eyes sparking gleefully. You've certainly said it all. We're snuggled next to each other under a blanket on the back deck looking at the stars when Nick turns towards me. Bryony, he says softly, his voice earnest. I want you to know how much I value you. Not just what you do, but who you are. Who I can be when I'm around you. Even if you took the leap and wooed me first, I want you to know I plan to take our courtship to its finish. A shudder goes through me, even as I look at him in surprise. What do you mean, I wooed you first? Nick smiles faintly in the moonlight as his blue eyes glimmer in amusement. Maybe one day I'll remind you, but tell me, darling, am I moving too fast for you? I smile at the thought. No. Fast isn't anywhere near what I'd describe your pace, but I'm glad it's picked up considerably since February. Nick chuckles. I'm here to please, and since you feel that way, I have something for you. Reaching beside him, he picks up a small black and silver bag from a jewelry store in town and hands it to me. My brows shoot up as I wonder what it is and when he got it. What's this? He silently gestures to the bag, but I can see the tension in his shoulders as he waits for me to open it. Okay, Nikki babe, let's see what we got. Reaching into the bag, I pull out a long blue velvet box. Was I hoping for a ring? I would have said no until I pulled out this box. When a zing of disappointment goes through me, I know exactly how far gone I am. Shaking it off, I smile at the thought that he actually went into a jewelry store to buy this. Nick doesn't say anything until I open the jewelry box and silently stare inside. That's when he starts talking a mile a minute, and I realize he's nervous. The clerk at the shop said that it was their most popular piece at the moment. I didn't believe it until I saw it, and it immediately reminded me of you. I know it might appear strange on the surface, darling, but it's actually quite smart. Nick lifts the stunning woven golden necklace out of the box and holds it up for me to see. It's actually Morse code, love. See? The diamond baguettes are the dashes, and the little sapphire stars are supposed to be the dots. My eyes water as I look from the necklace to him. He's looking at me earnestly, though he's starting to frown a bit. You can wear it under your chef's jacket, and it won't interfere with your work. His voice trails off as he looks at me uncertainly. I rest a hand on his leg. I love it, Nick. It's gorgeous. It just seems really expensive. I would hate to lose it. Nick's eyes gleam as his smile spreads. Don't worry about that, love. That's what insurance is for. I gently touch it as it glitters in the moonlight. What does it say? He smiles mischievously. It says, be mine. Will you? I nod as I chuckle. Yes, absolutely. Would you like me to put it on? Would you please? I smile, still stunned that he bought me something so expensive. Turning around, I lift the curls off my neck so that Nick can put the necklace on. When he gets it latched, he turns me around to adjust it, and my heart riots at the tenderness in his eyes. Thank you, Nick, I smile, giving him a kiss on the cheek. He nods as he pushes my hair over my shoulder, and as our eyes connect, he chuckles self-consciously. I'm sorry. I never thought this day would arrive. I couldn't imagine you would ever feel drawn to me the way I feel drawn to you. I'm still not sure I dare to dream. I'm almost afraid to move for fear that it will slip out of my grasp. I reach up to brush his medium-length waves behind his ear. There, I smile with a whisper. I know the feeling. Leaning in to hug him as he squeezes my shoulder, I listen to the rapid beat of his heart. I guess we know we're attracted to each other, but I frown as I wonder if this conversation counts as defining the relationship. I can't exactly Google it right now. So I ask, Nick, what would you say we are right now if we were defining our relationship? Nick freezes, and a full minute goes by before he hedges. We're more than friends. When it becomes apparent he's not going to say anything else, I nod. Okay, but am I your girlfriend? Or are we still in some kind of exploratory stage? What are we? Nick pulls away and looks down at me confused. We're courting, so I think it's more than an exploratory stage. We know each other better than nearly anyone else. Doesn't that mean we're far beyond boyfriend or girlfriend? I nod in agreement. That makes sense to me, but what is that called? Nick tilts his head as he looks down at me. Kindred? Meant to be? I look up at him and nod. Maybe he's trying to figure it out too. Perhaps we don't need to figure it out now. Maybe we can just be. When another thought suddenly occurs to me, I nudge him in the ribs. When you told Amelia that my motorcycle kit cost £4,000, I nearly passed out. That was hilarious. Nick looks down at me solemnly. It did. I laugh hysterically. That was really funny. He looks at me quizzically, and that's when I realize it's not a joke. You're serious. Nick slowly nods his head, his brow wrinkling in bemusement. Yes. Why wouldn't I be? My legs go weak in disbelief. Why would you spend so much on a kit? I could have had the last kit cleaned. In fact, despite his protest, it was exactly what I had done, even though I wore the new kit for a while just to avoid an argument. Nick frowns with a little smile as he tilts his head. You're more than worth it, Bryony. And for once, I believe him. He's proven it without a complaint or feeling a need to bring it up. It's such a good representation of what his love is like. Soft, slow, quiet, and dependable. I lace my fingers through his. He's everything that I could want. I'm glad you're here, I whisper, grazing my thumb over the side of his. He holds me tighter as he drops a kiss on top of my head. I'm also glad you're here, my life. As we settle back to enjoy the stars, I smile. The only thing that can make this moment more perfect is if Nick kissed me. My brow wrinkles. Why hasn't he? I give myself a mental shake. I'm sure he has a reason. Maybe he's waiting for a special moment. Okay, a more special moment. It's probably nothing, right? End of chapter.